All right, yo, what's up? Good morning, everybody, and welcome into A Bettor Morning, brought to you by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy is your all-in-one fantasy sports platform. A little bit later on in the program, we'll check in on the latest fantasy challenges, Rival Fantasy challenges coming up for week number 5 of the NFL season as we push right along through. Get into some waiver wire stuff. Also want to talk some SEC football as we're starting to see something develop in that conference. And I think we are going to get to a spot to where we are going to see something in that conference that we've seen before. And I'll go ahead and break that down shortly. Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. If you are in the chat room, if you're out there rocking and rolling with us, please, I beg of you, be a good Samaritan and say good morning. If I say good morning, you're supposed to say good morning back. You know what I'm saying? As we get ready to chill for the next couple minutes, get you going and into the day. Shout out to everybody right here at Bettor Sports Network. Let's start with the football game last night. Seattle Seahawks go to New York Giants. Seattle Seahawks coming to the Meadowlands last night as a 1.5 favorite. Right before kickoff, that number moved up to 2. Seahawks 2-point favorites. Win the game 24-3. Destroy, blow the New York Giants out. And so Seahawks easily covered a number. Like I said, I think the Seahawks are the 4th best team in the NFC. The NFC has the Holy Trinity at top with San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Dallas. And then you add the Seattle Seahawks to that mix. Some people think that the Lions are that team, that's the 4th team, but Seattle already beat Detroit. But I come to you this morning with my trusty New York Yankee hat on. I put this hat on to cover my balding dome. You know what I'm saying? I got a bald head coming up there. I'm embarrassed to show it in public. You know what I'm saying? I was on the stream earlier this morning, and I was like, I didn't have a hat on, and I thought Heather was laughing at my bald head. You know what I'm saying? So I said, let me go run and grab a hat to put on my bald head so Heather doesn't laugh at me, right? And I went and I grabbed the first hat that I could find. It was just my trusty New York Yankee hat. And this hat right here is really a symbol of pride. It's really a symbol of excellence. It's really a symbol of a city that has passion, that has drive, that is hard-nosed, that is tough, but it's also excellent at the same time. But I want to tell you something about the city that's on this hat. The city on this hat is struggling right now when it comes to their professional sports teams. Hell, they're struggling when they come to their college teams. Yeah, Rick Pitino might turn St. John's around, but Columbia football has been one of the most losingest football programs ever at one point, right? Then you got the New York Jets, who can't seem to catch a break. Supposed to bring Aaron Rodgers in for them to go to the Super Bowl. Bang, he's on the floor. Let's talk about the New York Mets, the comrades of the New York Jets, right? They were supposed to be a team playing in the postseason this year. They were a team that even had me buying in and putting the future down on this team. Keith, can you imagine this? On this team to be a champion or a team that would contend in the National League. Then we got to zig all the way back across town to the Boogie Down Bronx. I grew up in the shadows of Yankee Stadium. In October in Yankee Stadium, that building would rock. It's October and that building is dark. That's a disgrace. Let's leave the Bronx and let's head down the Major Deacon and hop on the George Washington Bridge and head on over to MetLife Stadium in the state of New Jersey, where the New York Giants are. And yes, they had some optimism and showed a semblance of success last season, but then everybody put their hand out, and now the New York Giants are a disaster. Then let's go to Brooklyn, where Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were supposed to make a super team and bring good time basketball to Brooklyn. It was a massive failure. Kyrie didn't want to take the jab. Kevin Durant couldn't play by himself. James Harden put a fat suit on to go to Philadelphia. New York sports franchises are in disarray right now. This is terrible. This is terrible what's going on in New York with these sports teams. It doesn't make any sense. How does this happen? A lack of leadership, a lack of commitment. What's going on, Brian Cashman? What's up, Steve Cohen? What's happening with these teams? The Brooklyn Nets. We are at a point in this experiment that the best team in New York is the Knicks. Yes, repeat that. The best team in New York right now is the Knicks. We got to talk about the New York Giants last night, though. This was a team that was supposed to be a team that people had optimism about. I'm going to tell y'all a secret. Zach Wilson's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. The New York Giants tried to sell to us that Daniel Jones was a franchise quarterback, that Daniel Jones was a franchise leader. The only franchise that Daniel Jones can lead is Party City. Because if you think this guy's a franchise quarterback, you need a big red nose and some floppy shoes because you're a clown. Just like they were clowns for giving this guy all that money when they were negotiating against themselves. And it's just turnover, fumble, interception, bad play, bad pass. Every day I got to come up here and talk about bad quarterback play in the National Football League. Every day. I got to get myself all worked up at 9-something in the morning. Look at this guy. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 67 quarterback rating, sacked 11 times. Every time the New York Giants step up in competition, they don't get nothing done. They played Dallas 40-0. They played the Seahawks, scored 3 points. They did at least score a touchdown against the 49ers. The Eagles kicked their ass at the end of last year. The New York Giants had a good football team. Daniel Jones had a good quarterback. They made a mistake paying all these people. Saquon Barkley, I got to get my money. When you going to play? I understand high ankle sprain, but you always hurt, son. It's always something. I didn't think I would have to get into that this morning with these New York Giants and these New York Jets and these New York Mets and these New York disasters. Supposed to be the best city in the world. You can't even get a team into the playoffs. No free agents. Nobody. You think Ohtani going to come to the Bronx? You think some big time, you think Caleb Williams is going to be like, no, I need to force myself to the Giants? It's not going to happen. Nobody wants to be there. If the subways is flooded, you got people sleeping on the streets, you got tent cities in Queens. What the hell is going on, New York? Your sports teams are struggling. The city is struggling. You see where I'm at. I left. I got out of that joint. Such a great, proud city. And all of a sudden, there's nothing sports-wise. The Knicks are the best team. The Mets in shorts. The Knicks are the best sports team in New York. I feel bad. I love the city. I don't live there no more, but I still love the city. The city still is in my heart. It runs through my vein. I see the Bronx dark in October. There's a problem. The Mets keep telling their fans that they're going to make a run. They sign all these players. As soon as they put the Met uniform on, they tear every ligament in their body is torn. Every ankle is sprained. The quarterback, franchise quarterback, Zach Wilson. Franchise quarterback, Daniel Jones. You're right. We need a New York sports czar. We need somebody to come in there and be the general manager of all New York sports teams. We need a New York sports czar. We need somebody to fix the Brooklyn Nets. You got to fix the New York Giants. You got to fix the New York. I don't know who it's going to be. Who can be the New York sports czar? Is it Mike Francesa? I don't know. Somebody got to fix New York sports. This don't make no sense. Every time a New York team is on television, they getting their ass embarrassed. Daniel Jones, a franchise quarterback. Daniel Jones, $40 million a year contract. The poor head coach, my God, he can't stand the quarterback. A laughing stock. New York sports has become a laughing stock. The Knicks are the best team in New York. Let that sink in. The New York Knicks, a team that had 30 straight years of futility, now that they can make it to the second round of the playoffs, they're the best team in New York. That's amazing. Somebody got to come fix New York. Maybe I got to put my cape on, turn my Yankee hat upside, turn my Yankee hat backwards, and come back and fix my city. Get the people off the street. We got to talk about the waiver wire. Heather, I'm sorry, Heather. It seems like every morning I come in here, Keith, I try to do the right thing. I come in here and I say I'm going to have a nice, peaceful, easygoing show, give the people the information they need and going about my business. It never happens that way because I always get fired up. I always get riled up. And to see these New York sports teams going through this is heartbreaking. The Knicks are the best team in New York. Let that sink in. The only team in New York that's going to qualify for the postseason, and this year is going to be the New York Knicks. Let that sink in. Your football teams stink. Your baseball teams sell false hope. The Brooklyn Nets get any jackass they can to come play for them. And then you got to pay New York City prices to go see these teams play. While you step over. Anyway. Waiver wire. I don't ever have a lot on my waiver wires. So I want to give you a couple names that could be on yours. Now, here's a guy that will be on my waiver wire. Jaleel McLaughlin. This is the Denver Bronco running back right here. Basically came in last week. Saw the injury to Javonte Williams. Sam Perine been a disaster so far this year. 19 fantasy points this past week. He's going to be a hot name on the waiver wire. Remember, you're picking up a Denver Bronco running back, though, when you do that, because they stink. Gus Edwards picked up a lot of spots. Seen him pop back up on a lot of waiver wires after the bad decision last week. If he's out there, he's going to be a piece of that offense in Baltimore. Please temper your expectations. Jake Ferguson is interested in if you need some tight end help. I'll probably be picking up Ferguson in a couple leagues, but I need tight end help at today. The thing with Ferguson is Dak Prescott likes to throw the ball to the tight end, and he's in play for a touchdown every game. So I would look at Jake Ferguson as a guy that I would keep an eye on the waiver wire. Tajay Spears, the Tennessee Titans running back. Pass catching back, doesn't get much work, but he can give you some good numbers in the PPR. When Tennessee is playing from behind, they take Big King Henry off the field. When they let Ryan Tannehill check down, because that's all he can do. Most of that work will be going to Tajay Spears. Keep telling you all about Jaden Reed. So Christian Watson is back, so he could pop back up on waiver wires, but he's a guy that's getting good work right now in that Green Bay Packer situation they got going on with the Packers wide receivers, Jordan Love in those games. Jordan Love could have been a New York quarterback. He could have been a New York Giant. The Giants, let me tell you something. The Giants got a quarterback from Duke. Hey, bro, you go to Duke to get a point guard, not a quarterback. You go to Duke to get a power forward, not a quarterback. In the New York sports is all, Keith. They need somebody got to come and take over all the New York sports teams. Nobody holding these dudes accountable anymore. Maybe the fantasy executive got to return. Listen, Fantasy Alarm folks, check this out, right? You need to get on over to Fantasy Alarm. Start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's all-pro subscription. Get all the Week 4 DFS and Week 5 DFS contests and and picks for free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. That promo was not as clean as yesterday, so I'll do it again. Start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's all-pro subscription. Get all the Week 4 and 5 DFS contests and picks for free, FREE, free. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win to get involved with that one right there. I want to talk a little bit of college football because looking through this weekend's result in the Southeastern Conference, which is really, the NFL's developmental league, the next 5 years is only going to be 2 conferences. It's going to be the Big Ten and it's going to be the SEC. The Big Ten is going to have 20 teams. The SEC will have 20 teams. That's what's going to happen because teams like Clemson, Florida State probably go to the Big Ten, Clemson, whatever the case may be. You get what I'm saying. It's going to be 2 conferences in the next 5 years. The SEC is still America's dominant powerhouse college football and really college basketball conference. Shout out to the UConn Huskies, the Big East getting it done last year. But, this is where things are tense at in these divisions in this conference down here. And looking at the way the conference looks so far this season, I find it to be quite interesting, right? You still got Georgia as the only team, and Kentucky right now are the only 2 teams that are undefeated in Texas A&M in conference. Well, Alabama goes to Texas A&M this week, right? So one of those 2 teams will have a loss. And then Kentucky, they are at Georgia this week. So Kentucky will have a loss. So basically what's going to end up happening in this Southeastern Conference is at some point, everybody except for the Georgia Bulldog is going to have a conference loss because in the SEC, no matter how good you are, when you go on the road, you're probably going to lose. South Carolina hosted Tennessee last year, beat them by 30. A team that was on their way to the college football playoffs in their building. Last week, they go to Tennessee, a worse team than the team they beat last year, with Carolina having a better team, and they lose by 20. So how does this 50-point swing happen? It's because these environments on the road are too tough to win in. So if you can consistently go in conference and win on the road in the SEC, you can be the champions. You're a contender. You're a good team. Look at college basketball last year. The only team that was able to consistently go on the road and win in conference was the UConn Huskies. They ended up winning a national championship. So when you look at these teams and you look at this week of scheduled games, what you see is if Georgia and Alabama continue to win, for all the talk of Jaden Daniels in LSU, Spencer Rattler in South Carolina, the running game in Kentucky, Brady Cook in Missouri, for all the changes that people are predicting in this football conference, it's still going to come down to Georgia and Alabama. So for everybody that thought Tennessee was going to break through or Kentucky was going to break through or Florida was going to break through, or it's still going to be the same two teams. This year, people have been so hyperbolic. I heard somebody saying yesterday, don't be surprised if they try to run Bill Belichick from New England. Are you stupid? Bill Belichick is not going anywhere. They missed on the quarterback. A lot of teams miss on the quarterback. New York Giants, New York Jets. So stop trying to run legendary head coaches. Oh, Nick Saban don't got the team no more because of the NIL era. Well, if Nick Saban's team holds court on their home field in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, they'll be in the SEC championship game. They've dropped out the top 10. They've dropped to number 13. We're seeing all-time lows for Nick Saban. His team is going to be in the game in Atlanta in the first weekend in December. So what changed? You see, you got to stop wanting people to be washed up, wanting people to be done, trying to put people away too early. We're 1 month through the season, people saying that Alabama's toast. They're going to be back in the championship game this year because all they got to do is hold serve at home. And LSU comes to that building. LSU don't look good. And LSU got road tests coming up again this week. They're going to be out of it. Tennessee got to go to Georgia. Tennessee got to go to Texas A&M. They're going to be out of it. It's going to be the same two teams again. And Alabama's going to win. And for everybody that said that Coach Saban and Alabama was washed up, you're going to be watching them in the national championship this year with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. And then somebody stupid, probably a New York team, is going to go draft Jalen Milroe in the first round. All right, let's get to today's show sponsor, Rival Fantasy. Shout out to the good people at Rival Fantasy. If you're not familiar, Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Play challenges, fantasy book, fantasy bingo, plus season-long fantasy football. If your fantasy football season is already a bust, draft a second chance season-long with Rival Fantasy and receive $250 in cash prizes. Go to joinrival.com/LOM. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy get a $200 deposit match and a complimentary first play voucher. So they call me Rival Fantasy CP or Rivals Corey or Fantasy Challenges Corey because I'm so elite at this. All right, Heather, let's go split screen. Let's get it up there right now. Let's get the Fantasy Executive, get you some winners over on Rival Fantasy. Bingo. Oh, my eyes deceiving me. Does this say Lamar Jackson versus Justin Fields? This is a no contest. No contest. And I understand this fantasy and this points and Lamar Jackson's taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Justin Fields taking on the Commanders. Who do you think is going to have more fantasy points in this one? I'm not going to skip this. I should unload the clip and put the whole thing on Lamar Jackson, comparing Lamar Jackson to Justin Fields. That's a joke. That's an easy one right there. Come get this easy money at Rival Fantasy. Are they going to put Justin Fields back up here again? Anthony Richardson. Bingo. Let's go. More Justin. Oh, it's Daniel Jones. Wait. This is a bridge too far now. This is a bridge too far. Yes, Richardson was cool. Lamar was great. Now Daniel Jones, I don't know. I'm backing off of this one. Skip challenge. I can only go but so far. Joe Burrow or Justin Fields? Joe Burrow has not been playing good so far this season. Been off to a slow start, injured, banged up. Fields need a big, no chance. Joe Burrow it is. Joe Burrow it is. So there you go right there, Rival Fantasy. Come get this easy money. They got you going up against Justin Fields on everybody. It's lit right now. Once again, Rival Fantasy is the all-in-one fantasy sports platform. Play challenges, Fantasybook, Fantasy Bingo, plus season-long fantasy football. If your fantasy football season is already a bust, draft a second chance season-long league with Rival Fantasy and receive $250 in cash prizes. Go to joinrival.com/alarm. New users who sign up at Rival Fantasy get a $200 deposit, up to a $200 deposit match, and a complimentary first play voucher. And bonus money, too. So there you go. The whole thing is there. Thanks a lot, Heather Klein. Say a prayer for your New York sport fan friends. It's bad times in that city with the sports teams right now. They need a New York sports czar. Maybe it's the fantasy executive. If you want me to come be a New York sports czar, Mayor Adams, give me a call. If I can do it remotely, it'll be a 7-figure salary, and I'll come and fix New York City sports teams. Until then, I'm wishing you all a better morning.